Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to another live stream with me, Lara Ryan from Complete Test Success. Okay, so today we're looking at academic IELTS writing task 1. If you're familiar with my channel, you know how this works. But basically, I'm going to show you a task 1 question. I'm going to get you to attempt to write it, and then I will give you feedback on your attempt. I'll explain what mistakes you've made, and that, of course, by understanding your mistakes, you'll be able to avoid repeating them. Or if you have a weakness, you'll be able to improve on that. And of course, that means that you will improve your scores. So pretty straightforward. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing here today. And throughout the lesson, if you have any questions or there are things you don't understand, you can feel free to ask. So this here is the question we're looking at today. So as always, for every single task 1 essay, the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to paraphrase the question. So I'll just get you started on that. For any of you who are new, let me just confirm what this means. What you need to do is you need to take this part of the question here. So where it says the charts below show the survey results for which environmental problems people in 3 countries are most concerned about. You simply rewrite that in your own words. And that is the first component of our essay. I'm going to let you guys get started on that, and I will have feedback for you as soon as I see him. Hey, Deep Gill, hello to you. Payal, good afternoon. Hi, Ranjit. So that's your first task. I'll let you guys get started. Share it in the comments, and I'll have feedback for you. Payal, sir, I'm a beginner. I want to take IELTS Classic from Inge. Okay, not sure what IELTS Classic means, Payal, but if you're a beginner, that might just be a mistake. But what we're doing is IELTS Academic. So if you're doing general training IELTS, this question will not be relevant to you. Akbar, hi sir, good to see you. Hi, you too, Akbar. Welcome. Jatinder, hello to you. Welcome. I'm doing good. I'm not sure what that means. Alexia, good morning. Good to see you here, Alexia. Payal, you're doing academic IELTS. Perfect. Hey, Tajinder, welcome. Hi, Alex. Welcome back. Good to see you here. Okay. So while I'm waiting for you guys to write the paraphrase, I'll just share a link. Most of you I'm familiar with. I recognize your names. Some of you are new. So, and let me just share my free live feedback lessons with you. These are free lessons, free group classes that I have on Zoom every week. If you're already signed up, then of course I'll see you there. If you haven't signed up already, you can just click on this link. You'll find it in the video description or in the comment that I just wrote. And you'll see the schedule for those lessons then. Reading was difficult. Yeah, I mean, everybody, not everyone, but a lot of people feel like reading is more challenging in the test because, you've got the added stress of the environment. Hopefully you'll get your scores, Jatinder. Okay, so let me just take Sonu. Hi, Sonu. Good to see you here. The given pie charts illustrate the information about study results which atmosphere issues individuals in Zambia. Okay, so too many language mistakes here. So Sonu, you're definitely going to have to work on your vocab. The word atmosphere and environment do not have the same meaning. So instead of using the word atmosphere, it's better to use, the original word environment. If you don't know a synonym of environment, you use the word environment. Spelling mistake, pie charts should be pie charts with an R. And then you didn't finish it. So which environmental issues individuals in Zambia, Singapore, and Cameroon, well, which ones what? Which ones they're most concerned about. So you don't have all the information there. So a few mistakes to work on, Sonu. The diagrams, hi Satija, the diagrams illustrate the results of environmental problems faced by 3 people. So it's not necessarily the ones that they're faced with, it's the ones that they're concerned about, it's the ones that they're worried about. So the information there isn't the same, Satija. Hello, Ray, welcome. Akbar, I would like to know in the IELTS exam what you recommend for writing, pen or pencil. I genuinely don't think it matters beyond whatever you're most comfortable with. So if you normally write with pen, I would say write with pen. If you normally write with pencil, I would say write with pencil. But what I worry about is people who write with pencil tend to have too much focus on their writing looking nice. So someone with a pen, they'll just cross out the word and continue. But someone with a pencil, they'll take the eraser and they'll make sure to erase it perfectly and make sure it looks nice. And that's, in my mind, a waste of time, because it doesn't need to look nice. It just needs to be accurate. So people with pencil often are too focused on the writing looking nice and they lose time because of that. Beyond that, I would say if you're more comfortable with pen, do that. If you're more comfortable with a pencil, use that. Alex, my exam is on the 10th, so that is on Saturday. Just 3 days remaining. Well, best of luck, Alex. Hopefully you'll learn something today that will get your scores. Okay, deep. The given pie charts depict the information about the survey results related to environmental issues which are faced by people from Zambia, Singapore, and Cameroon. So again, it's not, the results are about which ones they're worried about. So you'll see, let me just highlight it for you here. This word here, or this phrase here, are most concerned about. So it's saying the ones that they're worried about. If you don't, you've ignored this bit of the question. You can't just ignore bits of information. Your paraphrase must include those things. So that isn't successful. That is not a successful paraphrase. You also have punctuation mistakes. The first word should be capitalized. Zambia, Singapore, and Cameroon should be capitalized. Hello, Questan. Hey, Vinci. Good to see you here. Your exam is October 28th. Okay, still plenty of time, Vinci. Okay, so let's just wait until we have one relatively accurate paraphrase. I will add that to what we're looking at, the document that we're looking at, and then we'll continue to the next part. But I'd like just to see a paraphrase that is somewhere close to what we want, just so that everybody participating or everybody watching the recording will have, a better idea of what they're trying to aim for, or what they are aiming for. Abusili, hello, welcome. Sorry for saying your name wrong. Alex. The chart illustrates the survey results of 3 nations, Zambia, Singapore, and Cameroon, on environmental problems. What about the environmental problems? It's the fact that they're worried about these things. The pie charts illustrate the survey results more concerned about the environmental problems people in 3 countries. Language-wise, there are too many errors here, and this isn't very clear. This isn't very clear, unfortunately. Mandeep, hey Mandeep. The chat, it has to be chart. The chart illustrates the information about the information about the environmental dilemmas individuals 3 nations are most concerned about. Okay, we're getting closer. Some vocab issues, but let me just jump into my YouTube channel and I'll pull this up. Oops, that was Mandeep. I can't find that on my YouTube channel. I don't know what's happening there. Okay, so let me just copy it over. In fact, you know what? I'm just going to write my own. Let's just get it. Let's get the ball rolling. Let me write my own, and then we'll move on to the next part of the answer here. Okay, so it's going to be something like this. The chart below shows, I'm going to say, the graph illustrates. All right, let's blow this up a little bit. All right, the graph illustrates the survey results. Okay, results of a survey for which environmental problems showing the sorry, no, let me get this all lined up. Showing the environmental issues that people in 3 nations are most worried about. Okay, so something like that. That's what we're aiming for. From there, obviously from there, you're going to have to write the overview. So write the paraphrase, next comes the overview. The thing about overviews, I know a lot of you have been following me for a long time, but just for the newer students, if there's more than one time period in our overview, we should be talking about which categories increased and which categories decreased. But if there's only one time period, we should be discussing which categories were highest and which were lowest. Now, rather than going into more detail than that, I would prefer to just let you try first. I don't want to hold your hand because, you know, if I show you exactly what to do, you're really just doing what I'm telling you. Whereas if you try it yourself first, if you try to write the overview and you get it completely wrong, you'll learn more from that than you will by letting me take you step by step. So with that in mind, I'm going to let you at it. Write the overview for this question. While you're doing that, I will continue to give feedback to the other students. Also, because I'll be pulling up I'm going to be pulling up other people's comments. So you might want to just pause the video so you get a view of the full question. And then when I'm discussing the comments, you're not going to get, you're not going to have the question blocked out. Not ideal, but unfortunately fitting everything on the screen is a little bit challenging for task 1 questions. Hi, Ikra, I'm doing very good. Your exam is on 15th of September. Please pray for me. Absolutely. Best of luck with that, Ikra. Make sure to let us know how you get on. Aku, the pie charts present information regarding the proportion of environmental issues that people worry about based on a survey conducted in Zambia, Singapore, and Cameroon. This is very good. I should have waited a minute and just copied yours. This is very good. Good job, Aku. Hi, sir. Need how to reduce environmental problems. This will not be part of the, no, that's not what the question's about. So it's just like, let's say the survey is this. The survey is somebody comes up to you and says, are you more concerned about pollution, global warming, overpopulation, or waste disposal? So you give your answer to that question, and then they put down a mark next to whichever answer you gave. So that's what the survey is, asking people which one they're most worried about, and the results we're looking at show exactly that. Deep, the given pie charts depict the information about the survey results related to environmental issues in 3 countries which are most concerned by individuals, which are most concerning to individuals, and then that works. Good. Ziti? The issue of environmental problems faced by people from 3 countries is depicted by the pie charts. No, it's not which ones they're facing, it's which ones they're worried about. So like, I could be not in my country, there might not be much of an issue about pollution, but I might be most worried about that issue, so it's not necessarily the experience, it's the worry, the concern. Alexia, the pie charts illustrate the results of research done on environmental issues on people in Zambia, Singapore, and Cameroon that are most concerning. So that are most concerning to them, put that next to environmental issues. Research done on environmental issues that are most concerning for people in Zambia, Singapore, and Cameroon. Hi, Sohi. The provided pie charts represent the information about environmental issues which was faced by individuals. Again, it's not that they're faced with the issues, it's that they're worried about the issues. So you cannot change the meaning. If your paraphrase has a different meaning to the original question, then your paraphrase has not done what it needs to do. And I'm not picking on you in particular, Sohi, just a lot of students are making the same mistake. So it's important for me to mention that. The charts illustrate the proportion of 4 environmental issues in 3 countries. Remove the word in, which people are worried about, which people are most worried about. Ranjit, the pie chart depicts the information about the survey outcome in 3 nations, Singapore, Zambia, and Cameroon, pertaining to environmental issues. But it's not just about environmental issues, it's about which ones they're concerned about. So again, a lot of you are ignoring the words are most concerned about. So the last 4 words of the question, you guys, for some reason, seem not to want to talk about them, but you don't have that option. The question has already stated what the topic is. It is not your place to change what the question is about. You have to say exactly what the question said. Akhil, the data about the results of a survey for which was 4 different environmental related issues, individuals in 3. There are too many grammar mistakes here. You're putting words in the wrong places. You're missing prepositions. It's not clear. Now, I know what the question is about, so I know what you're trying to say. But if I didn't have the original question, if I only had what you've written, I would be confused. So for you, you're going to have to focus more on improving your grammar and your vocabulary, and then writing these essays, doing the IELTS test will be more manageable. Payal, the graph illustrates, shows, analysis, the research. So too many words. Illustrates and shows. These, you only need one of those words. You cannot use 2 verbs together like this. The results for which climate issues human beings in 3 countries are better concerned. They're not all climate issues. They're all environmental problems, but that's not the same. Like, the problem with the climate is an environmental problem, but not the other way around. So the climate issues doesn't cover all of the issues shown in the chart. Hello, Gaurav. Good to see you here. Doing good, thank you. Hey, Domenico. Welcome. Samar. The pie charts reveal the survey results for 3 countries, Zambia, Singapore, and Cameroon. You need a space after the comma. So Zambia, comma, space, capital S for Singapore and Cameroon for 4 environmental problems. So again and again, I can't really understand why, but all of you guys, no, that's not true. Not all of you, but a lot of you are ignoring this bit of the question. Are most concerned about. You can't just decide not to include it. You can't decide just to ignore it. That's what the question says. So that's what you have to say in your paraphrase. You cannot change the meaning. Deep, from an overall perspective, the waste disposal was at highest level in Cameroon while lowest in Zambia. Okay, I actually need a second to analyze this question myself because I don't know if your overview is correct or not at the moment. So let me look at this. So we're looking for highest and lowest values, right? So overpopulation was the most worrying thing to the people in Zambia. In Singapore, overpopulation again is the highest. In Cameroon, waste disposal is the one that most people are concerned about. So that's the highest percentage. Lowest percentages then, Zambia is equal for green, which is waste disposal, and lowest in blue for pollution. They're both 14%. So they have the same figure. In Singapore then, we're looking at the blue one, has 16%. That's the lowest figure here. And in Cameroon, also the blue one. So basically what we're looking at here is our overview is going to say which is highest. So we're going to say in Zambia and Singapore, the highest is overpopulation, but the highest in Cameroon is waste disposal. Okay. Then for the lowest, all lowest in blue, which is pollution, but the green one, waste disposal in Zambia. Okay, so that's essentially what I'm looking for. Your overview should say at least mention the top ones. So you should at least mention these 3 things, but it would also be good to mention this. So at least this one, also this one would be better. Okay, so now that I kind of have an idea of what I'm looking for, let's take a look at these overviews. Oh, actually, one more thing. I've looked at a lot of paraphrases. We are, oh dear, 23 minutes into the lesson, and we've only focused on the first sentence. So I'm not going to look at any more paraphrases. We're only looking at overviews from here on. Okay. So from an overall perspective, no, we would say overall. Just say overall. So overall, waste disposal was the highest level in Cameroon, while it was lowest in Zambia. Okay, so you've only mentioned a very small, oh, you have more here. And the ratio of others' wastes were changed in 3 countries. So you're not really focusing on what you need to focus on. You've just talked about one category. You've just talked about waste disposal, but you've ignored the other 3 categories. That's not how you would write an overview. You can't just focus on one specific category. There are 4 categories, so you need to refer in some way to all of them. We have to compare or not. Yeah, you need to make comparisons. You need to make comparisons for sure. Hello, Heen. Welcome. Good to see you here. Domenico. Okay, so no more paraphrases. Okay, overview. Jemmy. Hello, Jemmy. Overall, Zambia and Singapore are facing the main issue of overpopulation. Okay, so again, they're not facing the issue, they're worried about the issue. So overall, Zambia and Singapore are most worried about overpopulation, while Cameroon has waste disposal at the top. Okay, exactly. So that's the first set that I wanted. However, it is interesting. Don't say it's interesting. In your answer, you have to focus on the information, not how you feel about the information. So it has to be objective. Don't include your opinion. Don't say how you feel about it. Just say exactly what the situation is. In the way you have in the first sentence, you want to do the same. However, it is interesting that pollution is the least concerning. Let me check my notes. Yes. In all, and then the fact that, you know, waste disposal is also least in Zambia, you would need to mention that as well, because what you say has to be accurate. What you say has to be accurate. But overall, you've done a good job. Just a few little things that we could work on. Okay, so Jemmy. I'm going to take your overview, Jemmy, and I'm going to add that to what we have here. Okay. So Jemmy says, overall, Zambia and Singapore are, okay, so let's say people in Zambia and Singapore are most worried about overpopulation, while in Cameroon, waste disposal is the biggest concern. Okay. Okay, now we don't want it to be interesting. Let's say in all countries, in all, let's say nations, just to mix it up a bit, pollution is the least concerning problem. But in Zambia, this is equal to waste. This lack, just make it clear what is this is. This lack of concern equal to waste disposal. Okay, so that there is our overview. Of course, I will look at more overviews right now. I'll give the rest of you guys feedback, but that's essentially the information that we want. Just so that I can keep the lesson moving, what I will say is we're going to have to write about the next. Next, we're going to have to describe the details. So we're going to have a two body paragraphs. So just while I'm looking at some more overviews, can you tell me how will we organize the details paragraphs? So which categories or which countries will we discuss in the first, and which categories or which countries will we discuss in the second? Okay, so like I said, I'm just looking for overviews. Alex, overall in the data, it showed, you can just say overall, it shows that the three nations, the people in the three nations were most concerned about overpopulation and least concerned about pollution. Now that's not accurate, so that's a problem. You have the right idea, but accuracy is very important. So you said overpopulation was the most concerning, but only in 2 countries. It was only the most concerning in Zambia and Singapore. It was not the most concerning in Cameroon. So you can't just make it more convenient for you to write they're all most concerned with overpopulation. You have to go and write down exactly what it says. So don't try to make it more streamlined or make your sentence more simplified. Say exactly what you see on the chart. Okay, Deep Gill, from an overall perspective, just say overall. Overall, in both Zambia and Singapore, overpopulation was not at the highest level, was the most concerning, whereas waste disposal had the biggest percentage in Cameroon. Also mind the spelling of Cameroon. And this is an effective overview. Not as good as what we see on the screen, but you've done the most important. You've included the most important information, so that's perfect. Gaurav, overall, the figures of categories for pollution, the figures for category of pollution. No, just say the figures for pollution. So the figures for pollution accounted for the lowest in all nations, while percentages of overpopulation was the highest in all countries except Cameroon, where waste pollution was the most concerning issue. Yeah. I would include the fact that Zambia had the lowest. 2 of them were equally low. Decide the information about the environmental issues for people of 3 countries are worried about. Oh, so this is a paraphrase. Sorry, we've moved on there. Hi, Gurwinder. Aku, overall, it can be clearly seen that overpopulation is the most concerning problem in Zambia and Singapore. Spelling of Singapore there, Aku, be careful. Whilst waste disposal is the biggest one in Cameroon. Good. Overall, the countries Zambia and Singapore are being confronted with the problem of overpopulation. No, that's not true. They're worried about it. We don't know if there is a big overpopulation problem. I mean, we can guess they're probably most worried about it because it is a problem, but we don't have that information, so we can't say that. Whereas Cameroon had the highest figure for waste disposal. Okay. Hello, Atta Kakra. Super Sin. Overall, it can be seen that in Zambia and Singapore were the highlights number of problem. Now that's unclear vocabulary. So what you want to say is had the highest figures for overpopulation. So don't push yourself to use this vocab that you probably think, and not just you now, Super, but this happens a lot, where students, they don't want to use the most direct way of saying it. So instead of saying the highest number, you're saying the highlights number, and you probably think that sounds much better than saying the highest, because everybody will say the highest. The highest is such a simple, well-known, common phrase that it's not impressive. But you shouldn't try to be impressive. You should try to be clear. So this isn't just for you, Super. This is for everybody, in that it's a very easy mistake to make where your approach is, I want to impress, and the result is you are confusing. So just be careful with that. Go for the easiest way to say it, and that will ensure that the reader will understand. Sir, can I every time write percentage for instead of percentage of? The percentage for, the percentage of. It's different. So you would have to say the percentage for overpopulation is, I can't see clearly now. So I could say, like, in Zambia, the percentage for overpopulation is 43%. Or I could say, oh, sorry, what have I done there? Okay. Or I could say, in Zambia, the percentage of people who stated that overpopulation was their biggest concern was 43%. So percentage for and percentage of, you need to follow different grammatical structures. So the percentage of people who said versus the percentage for overpopulation. So you just give the name of the category with percentage for and the name of the category. Yep. So you can use both, but you need to use them accurately. Another interesting, again, don't say interesting. Okay, I'm going to come back to these overviews. I just want to move the lesson forward. So let me have a look. Let me have a look at your answers to this question. How will you organize the details paragraphs? So you have to decide, are you going to go with one country in the first paragraph and two countries in the second paragraph? Or are you going to go with two categories in one paragraph and two categories in the other paragraph? That's a decision that you need to make. So let me see, do we have any answers? Hi, Simranjeet. People are less concerned about pollution. May you tell, please, what is a band 6 in task 1? Band 6 is writing an overview, but probably getting including some inaccurate information. That would be for task achievement. And then, having the vocab and grammar to clearly communicate, but still making lots of mistakes. That's a band 6. Okay, Gaurav. Zambia and Singapore in one body because both have quite similar data, so we can compare easily. Okay, that makes sense. Is that the only answer I got? Okay, I would personally, let me make sure that I know what I want to say. I think I'd go with the categories. So let me just see here. I think I'd probably go with I'm going by country. You know what? I think that's a good idea, going by country. But this is what I would do. So normally what you want to do is you want to see which country are you going to have most to talk about. And the fact that Zambia has two categories that are the same percentage, it's going to take more words to describe that situation. So I think that's what I would go with. But then it would be tidier to discuss, two categories in one paragraph and two categories in the other paragraph. But then you're kind of losing your ability to discuss, which was the highest and then what came after that and what was lowest. So you lose that sense. So I think what I would probably do is actually just go with what Gaurav said. Let's do that. So Zambia and Singapore in the first body paragraph. Okay, let's do that. Okay. So really, we're not going to have time to get through both of these, but we could certainly make a start on Zambia and Singapore. So what I'd like you to do you know what? For the sake of this, let's make it easier. Let's just do Zambia in the first one. The reason for this is I just want to have a look at your attempts. I'm not massively concerned with finishing the essay. What I want is just to have a look at your attempt to put it together and to be able to tell you what mistakes you're making. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So your next task is to write the first details paragraph about Zambia. Okay, So while you are all doing that, I'm going to go ahead and continue giving feedback on your overviews. So again, Aku, don't mention the word interesting. Don't use the word interesting. You just want to say that it is the least. That might be interesting. That might be boring. What we really care about is that you're accurate. Okay, Ziti, overall population is highest in Zambia. Concern about overpopulation is highest in Zambia and Singapore, while waste disposal is the largest spelling mistake there in Cameroon. Moreover, big M, moreover, comma, pollution is the least concerning problem in all countries, so say where, but waste disposal is also shares the lowest figure with pollution in Zambia. Ranjit, overall, it is discernible that the highest proportion of environmental issues was overpopulation and waste disposal, whereas the lowest was pollution. Overall, it is discernible that the highest proportion of environmental issues was overpopulation. You need to say where. What countries are you talking about? Are you talking about all of them? If you are, then that's incorrect. If you're not talking about all of them, well, where, you have to say where. So you're not giving enough information for me to know, to imagine what the chart would be like. So you need more information than that. Hello, Asanka, excuse me. Yeah, hello, welcome. Mandeep, overall, it is clear that in Zambia and Singapore, people are highly concerned about overpopulation. So they might be highly concerned about all of them. But what we want is they're most concerned. So that's a different meaning. So be careful with that. However, people are less concerned about pollution in all three countries. So you want to compare like with like. You always want to say, if you're going to talk about the highest in Zambia and Singapore, why would you ignore Cameroon? Like what would make it most logical is that you do the same thing with every country. So I'm going to talk about the highest in this country and the highest in this country, but not the highest in this country. That's not logical. So do the highest in all, and then if you think it's appropriate, also do the lowest in all. But don't separate the countries and don't separate the countries and describe them in different ways. You want to cover each country in the same way. You want to analyze each country in the same way. You don't want to analyze two one way and one a different way. Be consistent. That's very important. Zambia and Singapore, and going over this again. Alex, is it necessary to write a conclusion if we write an overall? No, there is no need for a conclusion in task 1. Okay. Overall, Zambia and Singapore are most concerned, that's important, most concerned about overpopulation, while Cameroon is most worried about the high number of waste, the amount of waste disposal. And don't worry about changing the name of the category. It's fine to just use the name provided. Okay, Samir. Overall, people in Zambia and Singapore are most worried, so that's just a collocation mistake, most worried about overpopulation, comma, while people in Cameroon are most worried about waste disposal. Pollution is the least concerning issue in all three nations, and the fact that Zambia has another category with an equal value, we would have to mention that. Okay, we looked at that. Mandeep. Overall, it is clear that individuals in Zambia and Singapore are, so you need the verb, are most concerned about overpopulation, whereas the comma goes before whereas, not after. So comma, whereas in Cameroon, waste disposal is the biggest concern. However, in all three countries, people are least concerned about pollution. Okay, and then again, add the extra bit about Zambia. Hi, Samanjeet. Alexia, overall, Zambia and Singapore are most concerned Not just concerned, but most concerned. That's important because it's the highest percentage about overpopulation, while Cameroon is worried most about waste disposal. Good. Sir, make a video on reading. I have already. If you go to my website, you'll see reading. Or if you just go to my YouTube channel, you'll see it there too. B. Winkle. Hi, B. Winkle. In general, say overall. Use the word overall. That's what the examiner is expecting. Overall, waste disposal and pollution were the problems are. The question says are most concerned about, so we're going to use that to indicate. So you can see here, are most concerned about. So, we're going to use that information to indicate which tense we will use. So we're going to copy that. Are the problems which are, so in general, so overall, waste disposal and pollution are the problems which are least in both the countries. Which are both countries? There are 3 countries. Okay. So the word both means you can only use that when you're talking about 2 things. And it means both means in the 2 things that we're discussing. But here we're discussing 3 things. So the word both cannot be used to discuss 3 things, only to discuss 2. Whereas both countries suffered immensely. And again, it didn't suffer immensely from overpopulation and global warming. It's that people are concerned about those things. But what would be better, B. Winkle, is just hone in on the exact highest figures for each one, not, the highest and second highest in each one. Hi, Deki. Thanks, Gaurav. Thanks, Desai. So yeah, you're comparing one country with the other. You can, we could say, when you're describing Zambia and Singapore, you can say, the highest category was overpopulation. So when you finish describing Zambia and you start describing Singapore, you can say, in Singapore, overpopulation also had the highest percentage, this time with, and you say the percentage. So you can make comparisons like that. But also consider, when you're describing each country, you are comparing the categories. So you're saying, like, in Zambia, overpopulation was the highest. So you're comparing overpopulation with the other 3 environmental issues. So everything you write is really a comparison. But sometimes you'll be comparing the categories with one another. Sometimes you'll be comparing the countries with one another. So just doing it one at a time is absolutely fine. Okay, we have some body paragraphs. Gaurav pushing ahead. Gaurav, in Zambia, overpopulation had the highest percentage at 36%. Okay, I need to write down these figures. On my screen, they're really small. So let me just write them down here quickly. So Zambia, overpopulation is 43. Next is global warming, and that was 29. And then the other 2 are the same. So that's what? Pollution and waste disposal is 14. R14. Okay. So you said in Zambia, overpollution. I'm getting confused here now. Overpopulation. Sorry. Overpopulation. So like this, someone was asking earlier on, how do you get a band 6 in the test? Well, inaccurate information like this. So saying overpollution instead of overpopulation had the highest percentage of 36%, but it's actually 43%. So again, inaccurate information. Followed by global warming at 29%. That is correct. Both the other categories were equal, with the lowest percentages of 14% in this nation. I would name the categories because... No, you're okay. Both of the other categories had equal percentages. Yeah. So that's okay. I probably would have mentioned the categories, but that's not necessarily a problem. Super Singe. It can be seen in Zambia, the overall population is on first rank, which is closely followed by waste disposal, global warming, and pollution, which accounted for 14 and 29%. It is not clear which category was 14 and which category was 29. So for that's not good for task achievement. I don't like. Let's just say the way you write your essay. This is what you should be aiming for. You should write your essay in a way where somebody can read this without looking at the question. So let's say they cannot see the question, they only look at your essay. Will they know exactly what happened in that? So for waste disposal, was that 14%? Global warming and pollution, was that 14%? Overpopulation. So you've mentioned 4 categories and then you've mentioned 2 percentages. Nobody's going to be able to figure that out. So that's unclear. And of course, that would result in a low score as well. So just be careful with that. Don't push yourself beyond your ability. Just do it one at a time. And that would make it easier. Gaurav, a lot of thanks in advance. You always miss my thank you message. Okay. You're very welcome, Gaurav. In terms of Zambia, we wouldn't say that. So just say in Zambia, 43% of citizens are most worried about overpopulation. Good. Whereas the concern of pollution and waste disposal are the lowest with 14%. You have not mentioned GW. What is GW? Global warming. So it's not okay to just ignore. It's not okay to ignore a category. At this point, when you're talking about Zambia, you will mention every percentage. So you've missed that. Oh, next sentence. Meanwhile, the figure for global warming is at 29%. Okay. Well, in that case, you've done a good job, but I would just encourage you to go in order. So what you've done is mention the highest, mention the lowest, and then mention the middle one after that. So if we put those, like, let's say if we call the highest one number 1, the lowest one number 3, and the middle one number 2. So what would be most logical is to go 1, 2, 3, but you've gone 1, 3, 2. So just talking about for coherence and cohesion and logical organization, going biggest, next biggest makes more sense than biggest, smallest, middle. So just be careful with that. However, you've done a good job. So what I'm talking about is coherence and cohesion. Beyond that, you've done everything you need to do. Task achievement is good. Vocab is good. Grammar is good. Percentages are accurate. That's a good response. Okay, so we only have a few minutes left. I'm not going to look at any more overviews. I'm only going to look at descriptions of Zambia. After analyzing the pie charts, there's no need to say that. It is clearly seen that a lot of students say it and it's not wrong. But again, just get into it. Just say in Zambia, overpopulation was the biggest concern at 43%, whereas global warming and pollution had noticed with a similar ratio. So say what that is, say what that percentage is. And of course, you need to include the other one. Moreover, global warming was 23% less than overpopulation in the same country. So you haven't included the percentage for waste disposal and pollution. So that's not clear. They're unclear key features. Aku, in Zambia, there are 43% of people concerned about overpopulation. However, global warming only accounted for 39%. 29, not 39. So again, inaccurate data. You might still get a band 6, but you're not going to get a higher score than that for task achievement. So 29, not 39. And pollution is less concerning. So let's say pollution and waste disposal are less concerning because they both have just 14%. And you don't need to say respectively. Respectively is like, if you mention the first category, the second category, and then you mention the figure for the first category and the figure for the second category. So you mention the two categories first, and then you mention the two percentages. That's when you say respectively. But when they both have the same percentage, that's not necessary. In case of Zambia, the major problem experienced, so it's not the experience, again, it's the concern. So the major concern was overpopulation, which accounted for 43%. On the other hand, only 14% of Zambians were worried about disposing of their wastage. Similarly, pollution was the other environmental problem to which Zambians were not that much worried, 14%. However, almost 1/3 of the citizens thought that global warming was the environmental problem they should be worried about. Interestingly, global warming was ranked second. You've made this too complicated. Go for the more simple way of saying it. And like I was saying to Ziti, put them in order, first, second, third, not first, third, second, or in your case, first, third, fourth, second. Okay. David, if I use find wrong feature in overview, maybe not good, as standard answer will decrease the score. Yeah. If you have the incorrect feature, but it's not that you have to have the same features as me. It's that it needs to be a general description, and it needs to cover everything, and it needs to be accurate. The most worrying issue in Zambia and Singapore is overpopulation, which have respectively 43 and 37%, whereas Cameroon accounts for 23%. Okay, so you've gone with overpopulation in each of them. You can do it that way as well. That's fine. I prefer the first one. I like this one. I like this one more. But the fact that you're saying it's the most worrying trend, whereas in Cameroon, is it the most worrying in Cameroon? No, it is the second. So maybe say that as well if you're going about it that way. Okay, I'm going to rush through. I want to get to the end, but I'm not sure I'll have time. Okay, Alexia, 47% accounted for overpopulation, which is a concern for Zambians. I would say start with Zambians. Make it clear that you're talking about Zambia to begin with. Followed by global warming at 30%. It was 43% of overpopulation. So that figure is wrong. Global warming was 29%, not 30%. So that one is wrong. Waste disposal pollution with the lowest percentages of 14%. Lara, I couldn't see the percentage numbers. Okay, fair enough. I do realize they're small. That's on me. Sir, can you make 3-body paragraphs for different countries? Yeah, that's not going to be a big problem. I would still go with 2. After analyzing the pie charts, it is clearly seen that in Zambia, overpopulation was at the highest level, which is 43%. Good. Whereas waste disposal and pollution accounted for a similar ratio. And again, you'll need to say what that ratio is. So say that it's 14%. Don't just talk about it generally. Moreover, global warming was 23%. It was actually 29%, less than overpopulation in the same country. Okay. Sir, how to manage time in writing? I always require 5 to 10 minutes more. Where are you losing time? And do you draw on the chart like this? I find drawing like the way I put the letter H and L. I find that helps a lot. Are you slow at writing? Are you slow at typing? Are you spending too much time focusing on accuracy? Or, like some students, they want everything to be perfect and that slows them down. Whereas you might be better to just finish the essay first and then go back and fix as much as you can. So, it's okay to make some mistakes. That's better than not finishing your essay. So maybe your focus should be on finishing the essay first. CT, you're very welcome. Good. Gerline, no problem. We're finishing up just now, so you can watch the recording. We saw that already. Most teachers used to say always mention less and less data and compare more. Is it true? I'm not sure what that means, Gaurav, to be honest. How can I join you tomorrow class on Zoom app? just click on the link in the video description for live feedback lessons, sign up, and then you will see the schedule. There, talk to you tomorrow in that lesson. Super. Henry, sir, how to select important information from graph and table when there's a lot of information like data of 7 countries? So again, just look for the highest and lowest. If there is a lot of highest and a lot of lowest, just discuss the highest. Hi, sir. How are you? You're the best team in the world. Thank you, Rajdeep. And I'm doing very good. Thanks. It's a nice little note to end on. Very good. Okay, so that's it. We got a lot in there today. That's good. I think a lot of you learned a lot of lessons. Hopefully, the main thing is if you made a mistake, make sure you don't repeat it. That's the big thing. Like I said, I have live feedback lessons tomorrow, so I'll see you there. If you haven't signed up, check the link in the video description. If you're not going to be there, I'll have another live lesson on Tuesday. So we'll be back focusing on another area, although I believe that is for general training. So it'll probably be 2 weeks before I have a relevant lesson for you guys. Alexia, you're very welcome. Glad to hear it. And let's leave it at that for today. Take care of yourselves, everyone. And to those of you who said you have IELTS tests coming up soon, best of luck. Hopefully you get those